शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः, भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः, स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः, स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः, स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः, स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So today we will start the seventh mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad, one of the most important and often quoted mantras in the Shastra, and we will have a very thorough examination of what it means in the next few classes. So let's start on that by chanting it, just to familiarize ourselves twice. So I can't hear you do it, so I'll just do it on my own, the whole thing twice. Na antaf pragyam na bahish pragyam, na ubhayataf pragyam na pragyanaghanam, na pragyam na pragyam, adrishtam avyavaharyam, agrahyam alakshanam, achintyam avyapadeshyam, ekatma pratyayasaram, prapancha upashamam, shantam shivam advaitam, chaturtham manyate sa atma sa vigneyaha. One more time. Na antaf pragyam na bahish pragyam, na ubhayataf pragyam, na pragyanaghanam, na pragyam na pragyam, adrishtam avyavaharyam, agrahyam alakshanam, achintyam avyapadeshyam, ekatma pratyayasaram, prapancha upashamam, shantam shivam advaitam, chaturtham manyante sa atma sa vigneyaha. So just the word meaning given by Swami Paramarthananda. So let's just do that for the time being, and we'll see the complete sentence, and then we'll start the commentary on it. Manyante chaturtham. They consider the turiya. Chaturtha means the fourth one. So in Sanskrit it's called turiya. They consider the turiya to be, what do they consider the turiya to be? Na bahish pragyam. Not the outward consciousness, outward jnanam. I use, as you know, I've used I follow Swami Akhandananda in using the word jnanam for consciousness, and for the reasons that I have already told you, and I will repeat it later. So, na bahish pragya means that which is not the outside jnanam, outside knowledge. Na antav pragyam, neither the inside knowledge, Now, Ubhayata Pragyam. Ubhayata Pragyam here means neither here nor there. We'll discuss that. What does it mean, neither here nor there? So here uses Swami Paramarthananda uses different, turn both sides. I'm not sure is as descriptive as neither here nor there. Something in between. Na pragyanagadam. So pragyanagadam means not a mass of knowledge. This is a very important thing that we will see later. How is that different from jnanam? Because the jnanam also is a mass. But here pragyanaganam, not a mass of knowledge. Let's take just the surface meaning of that now until we examine it. Na pragyam, na all-knowing consciousness. So here it means individual consciousness of all things. Again, let's not go into the meaning of it. I'm just taking the word meaning as he has given it. Not the all-knowing consciousness, knowledge. Na apragyam. And it is not there. It is there. It is not an absence of jnanam. Adrishtam means beyond perception. Avyavaharyam, and beyond transactions. Vyavaharya means transactions, to have relationships and talk about things, do things, and so on. So beyond those transactions. Agrahyam, beyond the physical grasping. Alakshanam. Alakshanam means beyond inference, which is a good translation. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have any lakshanam, but it is beyond the inference based on perception. Achintyam, beyond the way we think, the way the thoughts are. Avyabadeshyam, beyond description, direct description. Ekatma pratyayasaram, traceable through the unbroken self-awareness. Yeah, pretty good. Traceable through the unbroken self-awareness. Good. Prapancha upashamam, free from samsara, from the world. Shantam means peaceful. Shivam, auspicious. Shuddham, untainted. Advaitam means the whole thing. There is nothing other than that. Advaitam. Saha Atma. So they consider, so now we can connect it. Manyante Chaturtham, they consider the Turiya to be the Atma. Saha Atma. Actually, this is a Mahavakya. So, Atma means Tvam, you. I. It's the meaning of I. Saha here means Ishvara, Brahman, something which is not known yet. And this is the Turiya, which is the fourth one that is being indicated. And that is nothing but you. Saha Turiya Atma. Saha Vigyeya. So Saha Vigyeya means one which is yet to be known. Strangely enough, that Atma which is under discussion, even though it is you, it is not known properly. There is some confusion about yourself. So this is This is the mantra number 7. So let's read the complete sentence. They consider the turiya to be that which is not the outward consciousness, not the inward consciousness, not the in-between consciousness, not a mass of consciousness, not the all-knowing consciousness, nor the unconscious, beyond perception, beyond transactions, beyond grasp, beyond inference, beyond thoughts, beyond description, traceable through the unbroken self-awareness, free from the world, tranquil, auspicious, and non-dual. It is the Atma. It is to be known. Okay, so that is the verse. Very long verse, and so has a lot of aspects to it, a lot of thoughts associated with it that we will now begin to visit. Okay. All right. So, this verse reflects something which we do not think about. It is beyond our possibility, beyond our realm of thinking. How? So this is important to know. If we look at our lives, what characterizes us? All of our lives, you, me, everyone, no exception. If you analyze it and examine it, you will see this is what it is. This is how it behaves itself. This is how it looks. We are not completely happy where we are in our lives at any one point of time. There may be some temporary periods of happiness. It doesn't last very long. Overwhelmingly, our experience is a mixture of happiness and unhappiness. I don't know why my throat is so dry. I'm going to keep it here. I may need another one. So this is our situation. You ask anyone, are you totally happy? They'll say, not really. I'm okay. People say that. How are you? I'm good. It's just for a couple of minutes, couple of seconds actually. You say, no, can we just sit down and talk about how are you? Well, so this is the situation. We're not always happy. We're not totally happy. And it's a very funny situation that, okay, if you're not happy, then accept it. No, I can't accept it because I'm always trying to be happy. Okay? Even though I know that I'm not happy completely. Okay, next step. How do you propose to become happy? See, so the word becoming is an important one. How do you become happy? Well, I'm hoping some things will happen, and I think I will be happier if I did this. As you know, we have a long list that we don't even write down, but if we did, it would be in a great degree. There's a very lengthy list of what we have to do in order to be happy, and we try to do best we can. I remember this one discourse that Swami Dayanand had. This is after our PRC course. I remember this in Sayersburg, and he was discussing one of our life's issues where we don't really address the main problems. And so this can be defined um, as laziness or being too casual, not really being serious about it, and so on. So he was describing that. He was saying, that that is not a good property. We should really, Swami Dayananji used to say, this is not a good property. One should really get on with it and just do things. And so I was sitting there and saying, oh, I'm glad that it doesn't apply to me because I think I'm busy doing things as I should. I'm taking care of the long list of things that I do, should, and so on. I'm okay. Then Swamiji went on and said, one form of this laziness, this casualness, is called alasya. Alasya in Sanskrit is postponement. Oh, I said, this is interesting. Postponement. I remember this so well, how I was reacting to Swamiji's discourses. And he says, here's what happens. One form of being too casual is that you do have a list. It's not as though you don't have a list. At least you have a list. There are many people who don't have a list. But suppose you have a list, you are better off than most people. But you know what? In that list, if you look at it, you are going to put some things that you can accomplish right away. And those are relatively trivial things because you feel good. Yeah, I think this I can do. So you keep these small, trivial things on the top of the list and you keep the more profound tasks that need to be done at the bottom of the list. He says, this is one sign that you are too lazy, too casual, etc., etc. That woke me up a little bit. And I said, this does apply to me. I do it. And I remember this so well that I spoke to Swamiji. We always have, he and I used to have his one-on-one. Every year I'd go there. I'd seek out, in his private room, 20-25 minutes of, not that much, maybe 15 minutes, because so many people waiting outside. I couldn't spend that much time. But we would go through a complete status report on what's happening in the family, what's happening with the Arsha Vidya Center, what texts I'm teaching. All of that was going on every year. So there I remember telling him, I said, Swamiji, I have to admit that your description of this inverted list really does apply to me. I thought that I am doing very well, this or the other, but I keep postponing really big tasks that I should be getting on with it. And these are not necessarily spiritual teaching tasks, they're just lives in general. And he laughed about it. He says that's true for most of us, so don't feel bad about it. Anyway, so going back to our original train of thought, a very important thing this is. So, the way we respond to the fact that we are not completely happy is the task of becoming happier in the future. A life of becoming. I tell you, this was one of Swamiji's most favorite topics to talk about, and he was so articulate on this. Just amazing. You see, I don't remember the name of it. I've got so many his booklets and so on. You will see this theme being highlighted quite often, which is what is called a life of becoming. I see myself as unhappy, not completely unhappy, but somewhat unhappy, somewhat wanting to be happier. And the way I want to address that is to change myself and to change the situation that I'm in. This is the normal methodology. It applies to all of us. Just examine it. It applies to all of us at all times throughout our life. The way we address the challenges of life is to expect a change in myself or in the situation that I'm in. True for all of us. It doesn't work. This is the funny part. If you think that this is so prevalent, so endemic, so commonplace, so common to everyone, and there must be some truth to it, isn't it? Sorry. It's like the elections, the way the majority people win or should win. The way it should be done is you just poll everybody and say, okay, who is for Trump? Who is for Kamala Harris? And whoever has the most votes, and they say, it is, that's it. So you would think that you take a vote on, if you took a vote, who is doing this, that you are changing your life to do something better? You are becoming. He'll say, what do you mean? There is no opposition to this. There's no competition, no election needed. This is it. This is the only thing there is. Except for if you want to keep the whole Shastra as one person. One person. And that is Ishvara's voice. Shastra is Ishvara's voice. It raises his hands and he says, no, this is wrong. How is it wrong? Please see that it doesn't work. But it kind of works. No, I don't mean that way. We all know that it works temporarily and sporadically and randomly and all those kinds of things. But is that what you want? No, I really want unconditional happiness. From that standpoint, it doesn't work. Have you ever thought about it? This is an important thing to see. So they say, and we're going to discuss this in the 2-day retreat a lot, is what is called avicharita siddham dvaitam. vicharam na sahate. Avicharita siddham dvaitam means that this sense of samsaritvam is due to non-enquiry. Only due to totally due to non-enquiry. You just take it for granted and you just go along with what everybody else is doing, what you've been doing, and it gives you false hopes because it seems to work sometimes. Swami Dhananand used to say that, it's interesting. So I'll do two things. Well, let me complete the first definition of the life of becoming, and then I'll give you the example that I meant to give you as Swamiji was giving. So the life of becoming is what is called Bhavasagara. Bhavasagara. Beautiful metaphor. If you can just remember this. You know all of this, I'm just reminding you. Bhavasagara means an ocean of becoming. The whole thing is nothing but an ocean of becoming. Bhavati iti bhavaha. Changes. Bhavati means change. If I change myself, if I change the situation, I'll be okay. This is called, and it says sagara. Sagara means it's not a narrow river that you can, if you can somehow swim a little bit, you'll cross it. It is like swimming an ocean. You cannot swim across the whole ocean, my dear. You can't even cross it with a boat generally. So many problems. It's a huge undertaking. So similarly, the life of becoming is a huge undertaking. Never ending. Yeah, forget about huge undertaking. It's a never ending. This is what is called Bhavasagara. So now the analogy that Swamiji used to give, he says, the jiva, like you and I, is like a drowning person. Absolutely great analogy. Drowning person means different from a drowned person. So different from a one who is not drowning, who is no swimming, and different from a person who has now no longer drowning, he is already drowned, gone. But the jiva, the living human being, is like a drowning person. How? You're swimming in the ocean, let's say, and you got dropped off, somehow your boat overturned, and you know a little bit of swimming. Not like me, I can maybe swim maybe 20, 30 feet at the most, because I'm not very good at breathing. And I never could. I remember this. So remember I was born asthmatic, and so my breathing was always very problematic. When I came to Berkeley for my master's degree in computer science, you could take a number of courses, and some of them you could just, you can just take it on your own. And I could never really learn swimming when I was in India because they're not swimming pools. You don't have any chance to do it, and I was asthmatic anyway. So when I came to Berkeley, I decided I am going to learn swimming. So they have this gym in Berkeley, and I enrolled into swimming class. I said, I'm an adult, I was 23 years old, and I am sure I'm going to learn swimming. That is a challenge that I'm going to face. It didn't work because I had came up with a new problem. The chlorine in the water I was so allergic to it that I could not, after one or two classes, I had to give it up. My nose was clogged. I could not continue. So there goes my swimming. So all this life I have never really learned swimming. And my kids and grandkids, they all laugh at me, but this is the way I am. If I have to save my life, maybe I can go across a swimming pool which is small, but not a big one. So if I were to fall into the ocean, forget about me. If there was a person who really knows swimming was to fall into the ocean, he would become a drowning person. What does that mean? Drowning person means that for a while you feel you're okay. I think I'll survive. The next minute, a big wave engulfs you and you swallow water and you think you're gone. Then you may come up again. Swamiji used to characterize the jiva as a drowning person in the bhavasagara, because the life of becoming is, it seems that I can go I can improve things. I've gotten a new job to my liking and my health is improved. This is my struggle these days. I'm so vulnerable to small things. Last year was a total disaster. This year, I'm feeling I'm going to be okay. I don't have any major issues. I have some ailments, but no big diseases. But I know it's not going to last. So this is our situation. In summary, our life is characterized by an expectation that it will be better by becoming something different, by changing. Either changing myself or changing things around me so that I can feel better. This is what characterizes. It doesn't work. It never will. It's not going to. And I don't know what else to do. So you'll say, well, what do you expect me to do? I've tried everything else. What do you say? You understand the seventh mantra, you'll be okay. This is the main thing. Your whole effort of trying to be a becoming person is wrong. It's not going to give you what you want. You are wandering at the wrong place. This is not the way to do things, my dear. Shastra says. This should be understood to be the real meaning of the seventh mantra. This is why I'm spending, I spent the last half hour giving you this. Because, as we will go through that, which we will in great detail, sometimes you get lost in this whole process. Antah pragyamna, bahish pragyamna. What is the meaning of this? Not outside knowledge, no inside knowledge, no this. It just becomes very technical and you're trying to grasp it, trying to put it together and so on. But I think, and this is what aparoksha jnanam is. You have to look at it from a personal, realistic situation, and somebody has to explain it. So this is where the seventh mantra comes, which is Please see that the life of becoming doesn't work. If it doesn't work, are we lost? Is it gone? Is nothing else works? No. Shastra, even if it criticizes you, even if it dissuades you, will never leave you without a viable alternative. Any criticism is most valid if there is an alternative given to you. It happens to the way we deal with our children, other people, society. You cannot just criticize and leave things. This is terrible. What you're doing is just bad. Don't do it. And you walk away. How will that really help anyone? Where it would help someone is to, what you're doing here is not working, but let me tell you what I think we should do. Exactly how the Gita starts in the 11th verse of the second chapter. Ashocyan anvashochastvam. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, hey, my dear friend, the way you are behaving is not going to work. You cannot leave everything and go. You've got to pursue things. But then, so this is probably one of the most critical shlokas in Bhagavad Gita. Ashocyan means that the wise people wouldn't even think of it, and you're doing it. Why? But then he follows it up with a positive advice. You see, the reason is that you're taking things wrongly. You don't understand what's going on. So, a criticism without a positive advice also is useless. You cannot do that. So, if somebody says, okay, I can see your point that the life of becoming is not really leading up to it. Because if you look at the life story of everyone, including Einstein, who said, I died, but I was really trying to find out a unified theory that explains everything. And I can't do it. I have regrets about it, but I'm going. An incomplete life, even though he is one of the most accomplished scientists in the whole creation. You cannot find anybody whose this Bhavasagara is working. And it won't work. Theoretically, practically, however we look at it. So a person can say, so what do you want me to do? I'm doing the best I can. Study Atma Vidya. You're looking at the wrong place. There was an example given by Swami Dayanandji. Somehow my memory is coming back from many of the discourses from him. He was recalling this. He says, there was, and these are real life cases, or they could be. They could be or real life. It doesn't matter. This is exactly the situation with what is called itihasa. Itihasa means history, historical things. So the historical things about Ramayana or Mahabharata, there's this debate that goes on. Did it happen really, or is it a contrived story? This is what happens. Everybody has this doubt. So Swami Dayanand used to say that it is it doesn't matter. What do you mean by it doesn't matter? It doesn't matter because he used to give this example that this is what is called a classic history. Classic history. And I remember he gave the example of this novel and the movie that was formed on this called Ivanhoe. Many of you are not old enough. You're too old. You weren't young enough when that came. Maybe you did. That was a very important, very interesting movie. And one of the first ones that came out in color, I think after a while, it's not the very first one, but it was in color. Most of the movies were in black and white at that time. Ivanhoe. The Swamiji used to say the Ivanhoe is a classic movie. How do you define a classic movie? Classic movie is a classic in general, either a book or a movie, doesn't matter. A classic means the definition of the word classic is the one that could have happened even if it didn't. It was such an accurate description of the state of England between the Jews and non-Jews. Why is this world so... Still they have the same problems with anti-Jewish. Just amazing. Anyway, in that part of England, there was this, I don't remember all the details about it, there was a struggle between the Jewish population and the non-Jewish population, and this movie depicts that through through this picture called Ivanhoe, book called Ivanhoe. So Swamiji says that even though there might have been a couple of characters and scenes that had to be created to give a color to the story, that might be, but fundamentally it accurately describes the situation that occurred. So the Mahabharata and Ramayana are exactly like that. It really depicts the situation that it occurs, or it could be. It might have exactly happened, or some of the characters might have been changed. If you ask me, I think it really did happen. But you have to make up your own mind. But the main point is that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter at all. It is as good as true. So coming back to the story, it says that your experiences of becoming are as good as not useful at all. And let me tell you how this can be changed. But you have to pay attention to this, because it is so contrary to how the things are that you may not accept it. But there is no alternative. You have really exhausted every possibility. So what is given in the famous word, Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan Ayat Brahmana Nasti Akritaha Kritena. That's what I pointed out last class. That you should examine every possibility. Is it working? Can it work? You cannot. So you see, this is the thing. Going back to the analogy, A life of becoming means I want to be totally happy by becoming. Totally happy means a life of unconditionality, independent happiness. This is what we all want. We don't want anybody to. It's a beautiful sight. Uh, we have this 16-month-old, almost 17-month-old now. I keep saying 1 year, but Manoj just reminded me that Arjun is now 17 months. And now he is running around. Just 2 months ago, he could hardly walk. 3 months ago, and we were all saying, hey, stop crawling, start walking. And he was just so unsteady and so on. It's just amazing just how quickly the person gets up and running and so on. And do you know what now? He doesn't want to hold you a hand. Even if you're crossing the street and you say, okay, hold my hand, he says, no, I'm going to do it myself. Even a little boy wants independence. We all want independence. But we are looking at the wrong place. So that story that Swami Dayananji, which I didn't complete, so let me go back to it. So there's a story that there was a couple going in a bus. And the woman, the wife of this husband, of this man, was wearing some earrings. And in the jerky journey of the bus, her earrings fell off. And she discovered it as she was getting off of the bus. Because she had it when she got on the bus, and somehow she lost it in the journey. So she immediately raised a hue and cry and said, I lost my earrings, I lost my earrings. So her husband said, what, how was it? What was it? She says, it's just like this one. He says, okay, let me look around. And the bus is now waiting to drop off everybody and pick up new, so it's limited. So there's a big rush. And they're saying it must have fallen here somewhere. They're all looking and they can't find it. And so pretty soon they couldn't find it and the bus goes off. And this woman is still saying, I lost my earrings, I lost my earrings. And it perhaps fell off from the ground. So some people said, what did the earrings look like? She says, she instead of showing it to everybody, she says, it's a golden thing and it's here somewhere. Pretty soon the crowd starts in the dirt looking for the earrings. So two things. One is that the earrings, they're not sure of exactly what it looks like. So even the object of their search is uncertain in their mind. Secondly, much more important, the location of the search is totally wrong. Because the bus has already left. And if you couldn't find it, it probably was in the crevices of some of the seats somewhere. And it's very possible that it must have fallen off as she was getting off of it, but that's a very small area. Just look at it. But now what happens is everybody has joined the search. And the search is meaningless because you don't know the object and you don't know the location. Do you know? This is what our life is all about. This is not a silly story. All these stories are very, very impactful. we don't know what unconditional happiness is. Even though we are given hints to it, strong hints, but we don't follow it. Strong hints means that in deep sleep, indeed, that's the closest thing to what is called Anandamaya Kosha. It's a kosha, it's a covering of the Ananda, but very close to it. Even though we have that experience, what we said, oh, we neglected, sleep, yeah, that's just something else. But I want complete Ananda while I'm awake. True, true. Because this is also a very important thing to know. I'm just throwing that in as ideas come. Both Swami Akhandananda and Swami Maheshananda have pointed this out so clearly that it is not sufficient to have an experience. You have to know the experience to really enjoy it. So make a note of this. We'll refer back to it later on as the right context appears. So what they're saying is that you need to have both knowledge and experience to really enjoy the experience. And so many examples are given, but I remember either of the two Swamis, I forget which of the two had pointed this out. I think it might have been Swami Maheshanandaji. That if you are eating something which is very sweet, and we all like sweet things. This is an amazing thing, that Bhagavan, Ishvara, has made certain experiences. I mean, you look at the order of the universe. People who say, oh, there's nobody in charge, this is just random. How idiotic that thinking is. Because look at the order. Everybody loves sweet things. I mean, just think about that. My goodness. Everyone feels happy if you are not hurt or hungry or thirsty. A child, let's say. And every child is crying if it is hungry, wet, or thirsty, or hurt. It's the common thing. It's not like some child is laughing because he's hurt. Imagine that. This is what randomness would really mean. No. Sweetness is something that we all love. Dessert at the end of each meal. So now the example given is that even an experience of sweetness is not enjoyable until you are paying attention to it. Often somebody, some spouse will say, you go to some party and then they have a lot of sweets and so on. And someone is very busy talking to people and they're not really paying attention to what they're eating. They're so absorbed in politics, Kamala Harris versus Trump and Modi ji and this, that or the other. So this is what happens with men. We are all, my wife would come back from these social events and she's so well informed about people. Did you know that person's granddaughter got into MIT? And I says, oh, that's really wonderful. How did you find out? She says, no, I was asking them, how's your granddaughter? And she told me. Well, I never ask anybody how their granddaughter. I'll say, how is Trump? Who do you think is going to win? That's all. So I come back with no information. But she comes back with so many facts, then she has to tell me about all of that. Did you know about that? Did you know about this? And I'm all ears. I said, good, happy that you do that. So, really speaking, we cannot remember all the things in our life, and we are oblivious of it for some reason or the other. I must say, I've lost my train of thought on how this the sweetness. Yeah, that was the thing. So your spouse can say, by the way, did you taste that particular sweet? Because you ate all the sweets, but you were not paying any attention to it, so you said no. She says, you know what? I have an extra piece. Here, taste it. And then you are paying attention, and then you enjoy the experience. So, how it applies to our life is that we have an experience of total joy in our deep sleep, but we don't know it. It's like eating an Indian sweet without really paying attention to it. You are ignorant of it. So you have the experience, but it doesn't mean anything. You like it somehow from a memory. It'd be much better if you have the experience and you are awake. So going back to what I was saying, that just like this woman and just like the search, which is devoid of two things. One is that the object that you're searching for is not clear, and the place that you're searching for is wrong. Other than that, you're doing everything okay. How idiotic is this? Tell me. And the Shastra uses the word mudha. Mudha means, my God, how idiotic can it be? How is that? We don't know what unconditional happiness looks like. And we should be forgiven because we have never really had that experience, as we will. But so far we haven't had that. So we don't know the object. Just like this woman or just like the people who were searching, they don't know what the earring looks like. Okay, so that's defect number one. But if the place of your search was accurate, chances are that even if you didn't know the object precisely, you will be able to find it. Right? Suppose the bus had stopped and all the passengers were asked to leave, and a police search party was looking at this very expensive earring, diamond ringlets, diamond earring, and it might have fallen under the crevices of the seats or something. They'll be able to find it because the area for the search is accurate. But if the area is also wrong and you have no idea about what you are searching for, how can your search be successful? This is our situation in life. We don't know what we don't understand what unconditional happiness means. Number one. Number two, we are searching for it where it is not. We are searching by rearranging the deck chairs in the ship of samsara. That is our situation. It's idiotic. Not gonna happen. And there is no surprise that it doesn't lead into success. It's not surprising. It's not like saying it's such a super. Yeah, why can't we find total happiness in the world? It must be around here someplace. Aha, I think I found it. Not gonna. Because we are searching at a wrong place. All of us. What an interesting situation, really. Everybody in the whole creation, except for very few people who are listening to what the Shastra is saying. Shastra is saying, no, I know where it is, but that's not where you're looking, my dear. Yeah, in the Shastra, the word my dear is often given as Somya. Hey Somya. So the word Somya, which occurs in Chandogya Upanishad and a lot of other things, Somya is my dear. It just kind of like, so Somya, Swami Kandananda was saying it just occurred to me that when I was reading it has two meanings. One is what is called Rudhi Artha. As you know, we have already talked about this, that in Sanskrit, there can be two types of meanings. One is Rudhi Artha, and one is called, which is based on the on the etymology. And so the etymological meaning, the Rudhi Artha means just by uh, convention, just by convention. You just, like the word God, G-O-D. So the word God is done by convention, by English-speaking people. All English-speaking people, even though you may not be Christians, but there is a name given to the Almighty called God. Just a name. So why do you assign the word God? I don't know who started it, G-O-D. And why it was done. It's called Rudirtha. The other one is etymological artha, is based on some relationship to reality. It's an appropriate name, like Ishvara that we use. So the Ishvara name is means that it is derived from the dhatu ish, means to boss, to be the overriding person. And then the varat pratyaya is used, so it becomes Ishvara, means total boss. Total boss. So the words there are important. And we can say that Ishvara or God is in fact a symbol of, as we will see in much more detail, we talked about it in the last class also, a symbol of total happiness. And the place where we find it also is known. And we now need to get instructions from Shastra as to what it looks like and where is it to be found in order for me to be successful in my life. This is what happens. This is what needs to do. So the criticism that you are not going to be able to find it where you're looking, please understand that. It's wasted. You can enjoy life for a while. I'm not wishing bad things to you. But please understand that this is very temporary, and if you want to really have a total sense of happiness, and you have to look at the right place, and when you see the person, you should recognize, yes, this is what I'm looking for. So in order to explain that, the seventh mantra is given. Beautiful. So the seventh mantra, as we go through, will give us both the form, which is another topic. We'll go through that in a question. We'll go through that in a while. Both the form of total happiness and also where to look for it. So in the next few minutes, let me at least give you a couple of starting points. So, in the introduction to the seventh mantra, Adi Shankara, Bhashyakara, himself raises this question. So sometimes, you don't need to get, in fact, this is what part of our teaching is, that you don't even need to have questions from the students, because we raise the doubts on behalf of the students, and then we go proceed to answer it. And if we didn't think about something, you are free to ask. But our job is to actually raise important doubts that you may not even think about. So this is how it goes. That's why the teaching becomes somewhat difficult to understand, because I remember this, especially in the Sanskrit language. You don't know which of the passages is Purva Paksha and which one is Siddhanta. Very common. I remember that when we were in PRC. We had a hard time when Swamiji had to tell us, this is Purva Paksha. Don't think of it as Siddhanta. These are doubts. These are the answers to the doubts. So doubt is raised by Adi Shankara, Bhashyakara. He says, this is given in page 410 in the Mandukya book by Swami Akhandanandaji. And again, I don't remember the book number of Swami Dayananda, but both should have the same bhashya they both follow it exactly. So he raises this doubt. He says, the doubt starts with Nanu. If you want, I can actually read it. It's given on page 410. Nanu Atmanascha Chatushpadatvam Pratignyaya Padatraya Kathanena Eva Chaturthasya Antaha Pragyadibhyaha Anyatve Siddhe Na Antah Pragyam Ityadi Pratibodaha Anarthakaha. Beautiful. Oh, just reading the Sanskrit sometimes is just nanu atmanascha chatush chatush chatushpadatvam yeah chatushpadatvam pratignyaya पादत्रय कथनेन एव चतुर्थस्य अन्तः प्रज्ञादिभ्यः अन्यत्वे सिद्धे सति न अंतःप्रज्ञम् इत्यादि प्रतिषेधः अनर्थकः. He says, anarthaka means, why is the Shastra talking about na antah-pragyam? It is useless. Why is it useless? He says, you already covered it. You said that there is a Jagrat Avastha that has Vishwa as the person who is associated with the waking state, Jagrat Avastha. You already said that. So this is not it. Then you go to Swapna Avastha. There you also rejected. That is a different experience altogether. Then you went to deep sleep. And there you also said that is a different experience and this is not it. So now describe he says it's different from all three. So now describe the fourth one. Why don't you just describe? Instead, you are again saying, now you've already said it before, and why are you saying na antah pragyam, na bahish pragyam, na pragyana ganam, etc. again? So this doesn't mean anything. So here, all this is great stuff, and I think I'm going to have to run out of time. But I will complete it, this whole task. But let me at least answer this particular doubt. Adi Shankara first raises the doubt himself and then answers it. This is the way the Bhashya goes. He says, no, it is not nirarthaka. It also has a complete answer in the Bhashya, Shankara Bhashya. It says, no, not nirarthaka, because like the negation of the sarpa vritti, means the false identity, the false ideas that this is a snake have to be negated. And if you negate it, then the vastu, which is a rope, becomes automatically. You don't have to create a rope, because the reason you don't have to create a rope is because the sarpa bhanam, the idea that this is a snake, is based on the rope. Right? The length of the snake is the length of the rope. The curvature of the snake is the curvature of the rope. So the rope is visible, but not clearly enough for you to identify it. So all you have to do is to negate the other one, and then this will become very apparent. You don't have to do two separate things. This is not that, this is this. Don't look at this, don't look at it. What you're looking at itself is falsely looked at. So the falseness of the looking just has to be pointed out. And the falseness of the looking has to be done through repeatedly. So na antah pragyam, na bahish pragyam, etc. has to be done to reiterate what was pointed out before. But now we have to say, this is not where you should look. But in any case, what the seventh mantra will tell us as we go through that the life of becoming, the errors of the life of becoming should be seen. You don't have to become anything. You already are what you want to be. You just don't understand it. This is the crux of the whole teaching. So keep those broad ideas in mind as we proceed further on a number of classes that we will be taking just on this seventh mantra of the Mandukya. Okay, with that, let me close the class. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Mughal Azam, first color. You know, I think that the first color movie, Keshav, was on, not Mughal Azam. Mughal Azam came later. Mughal Azam was the more popular one, but the first color movie, from what I recall, was on. I think it was Raj Kapoor, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. Anyway, you're right. Shankar, I had sent you an email asking for Chris Narayan's whereabouts. I don't know if you got that email. He has not returned some of my emails, and I wanted to see if you have been in touch with him. And so Balamaniji also. Please, I know that you probably know him very well. So if you can let me know, because I've been asking and he has not replied, so I hope he's okay. Anyway, the attendance for the 2-day retreat is coming along very nicely. We have close to 77 people already. It's actually 75, and I know 2 or 3 others are going to come in. And a couple of you have sent some friends also that were interested in learning. So if you have that, please let me know. But the whole retreat, I think most of you are coming, is coming together very nicely, and we look forward to seeing you. So if you don't really have any questions, then I will take your leave, and we will see you next Saturday. Hari Om.